Okay, let's get right into it. When we talk about ancient military classics, it's easy to think of them as just, well, manuals for war. But what we're really diving into here is something much, much deeper. This is one of the most profound texts ever written on strategy itself. We're going to explore this timeless wisdom as a guide for navigating any kind of conflict, competition, or complex challenge, not just on the battlefield, but everywhere else too.
There's this incredible ancient parable that really sets the stage for everything we're about to discuss. A lord asks his family of famous physicians a simple question: which of you is the most skilled? The most famous brother, the one everyone knows, steps forward. He explains that his skill is in treating sickness that's already there. He punctures veins, he prescribes potions, he's the one you call when the crisis is obvious. But he says his brothers are far more masterful. One cures sickness when it's just a tiny, almost invisible thing. But the eldest, the true master, he sees the spirit of the sickness and removes it before it can even take form. He's so good that no one even knows his name, because the disasters he prevents, they never happen.
And that story, right there, is the heart of this entire masterclass. It's the central idea that echoes through all of these ancient texts. See, true strategic genius isn't about being the best fighter in a bloody head-to-head clash. Not at all. It's about shaping the conditions, the psychology, the environment, the perceptions so completely, so profoundly, that the fight itself becomes pointless. The victory is already locked in before a single sword is ever drawn.
So where does a journey like this even begin? Well, it's not with the enemy. It's with yourself. The very first stage for any great strategist is to conquer the inner battlefield. You have to master your own mind, your own emotions, your own blind spots, long before you can ever hope to understand, let alone influence, an opponent.
You know, the legendary strategist Zhu Galang, he had this incredible insight. He looked at a general's personality and didn't just see character traits. He saw tactical openings. For him, every single strength had a shadow, a vulnerability that a clever opponent could exploit. Take a brave general who doesn't fear death. Well, you can probably bait them into a reckless charge. An impulsive leader? You can beat them with nothing more than patience and delay. Even a virtue, like being humane, can become a weakness if it wears down your endurance. And this is precisely why self-awareness is the ultimate weapon. You have to see these openings in yourself before your enemy ever does.
And this slide just perfectly sums up the two mindsets, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the ignorant commander. They're totally focused on the fight itself. Their big question is, how do I win this battle? But on the other side, you have the wise strategist. Their work is already finished. Their question was, how have I already shaped things to make my victory inevitable? For the wise, the battle isn't the moment of decision. It's just the final physical confirmation of a victory that was secured long ago. And here's the foundation of that wisdom. Think about it. Anger, fear, what are they? They're just clouds. They obscure your judgment. They make you impulsive, predictable. Exactly the kind of thing a strategist like Zhu Liang is waiting to exploit. A master of strategy operates from a place of total calm and clarity. Emotional control isn't a sign of weakness. It is the very platform from which all clear-sighted, victorious strategy is launched.
So, let's move to the next layer of this. Once you've started to master your internal world, you have to master the external one. This is all about understanding your environment, not as some static, painted backdrop, but as a dynamic, living element of your strategy. This is what the classics call the ground of life and death.
A really core concept here is this idea of emptiness and fullness. The best way to think about it is like manipulating energy. Your entire goal is to make your opponent empty. You force them to react, to defend a dozen different places at once, to stretch their resources so thin they're about to snap. And while they become empty, you remain full. Your strength is concentrated, you're rested, and you're ready to strike with all your force at their one weakest point. You make them defend everywhere, so they end up being strong nowhere.
Master Sun, or Sun Tzu as you probably know him, he just puts it perfectly here. I mean, look at what he's describing. This has absolutely nothing to do with better swords or stronger armor. It's about manipulating the fundamental physical conditions of the conflict. You're turning time and distance and even food into weapons. You let the enemy do all the hard work, burn all their energy, while you just sit back and conserve yours. This is how you build an overwhelming advantage before anyone even thinks about fighting.
Let's just break that down, because it's so simple and so brilliant. First, await the distant. You make the enemy come to you. Let their long journey drain their strength and crush their morale. Second, await the weary in comfort. While they're struggling, you're resting. Your energy is at 100%. And third, await the hungry with full stomachs. While their supply lines are stretched thin and their soldiers are starving, your forces are well-fed and ready to go. So by the time they finally arrive, you haven't just matched their strength, you've completely mastered it by using their own efforts against them.
And this brings us to what might be the most sophisticated, most powerful layer of strategy of all: deception. Because if you can master your own mind, and you can master the physical terrain, then the final step is to master your opponent's perception of reality itself. You create the world that they see, and when you do that, you direct their fate. This single sentence is the absolute foundation of it all. All warfare is based on deception. What does that really mean? It means your plans have to be like water. Your movements have to be unpredictable. Your goal is to become formless, to become soundless, so that the enemy has nothing to grab onto, nothing to analyze. They can't possibly prepare for something they can't see or understand. And so they're left making fatal mistakes based on the illusions that you have so carefully crafted for them.
But here's the flip side. Just as important as creating illusion is learning to see right through it. A true master strategist reads the world around them like a book. Every little detail is a potential clue. The landscape itself starts speaking to you, revealing the enemy's hidden intentions. So, what do you think it means when the trees begin to move?
It means the enemy is coming. That's not the wind rustling the leaves. That's the subtle movement of a hidden army. This is the first level of observation, seeing the obvious things that most people miss. But then the language gets even more subtle. Nature itself can become your unwilling spy. You're looking for any unnatural disturbance, any break in the normal pattern. So what if, off in the distance, a whole flock of birds suddenly bursts into the air?
It means there are ambushers hidden right there. The enemy's attempt to be clever, to conceal themselves, is betrayed by the very environment they're trying to use. The strategist sees through the illusion.
And this skill extends to absolutely everything. The shape of a dust cloud can tell you if chariots or foot soldiers are approaching. But what's even more profound is reading human behavior. An enemy who uses humble words but is secretly increasing their preparations, oh, they're about to advance. And conversely, the enemy that's talking tough, making all these aggressive moves, they're often just bluffing, telegraphing their intention to withdraw. A true strategist doesn't listen to what the enemy says. They listen to the story that their actions and their environment are telling. So, you master your mind, you master the environment, and you master the art of perception. After all that, what is the ultimate lesson here? It's that these principles were never, ever just about battlefields. They are a universal code for navigating pretty much any complex competitive situation you can think of. I mean, just look at the sheer endurance of these ideas. For well over 1,000 years, from the brutal chaos of the Warring States period when these texts were first written, through the legendary clashes of the Three Kingdoms, and deep into the golden ages of the Tang and Sung dynasties, every single generation has returned to this wisdom. Great minds like Cao Cao, Du Mu, and Zhang Yu didn't just copy these texts. They wrestled with them, they reinterpreted them, and they applied them to the brand new challenges of their own times, proving over and over again just how timeless this all is. And this quote just brilliantly shows the leap from war to everyday life. The exact same principle of deception applies to business. The smartest merchant in the room doesn't show off how much they have. They appear unassuming, like they have nothing. Why? Because it's strategic positioning. It's all about managing perceptions to gain an advantage, whether you're in a high-stakes negotiation, launching a new company, or running a political campaign. The tools are exactly the same. So this is where we're left. Our battlefields today are boardrooms and marketplaces and social media feeds. Our weapons are algorithms and information, not swords and spears. But the human element, with all of its fear, its ambition, its ego, its pride, that has not changed one bit. So let's go back to that physician, the one who was so masterful that no one ever knew his name because the crises he averted never came to pass. That is the final challenge this wisdom leaves us with. In your life, in your work, in your challenges, where is the battle that you must win without ever fighting it? How can you become the strategist who secures that victory long before it ever begins?